Hey guys, Disney Freak 39 here. Today is May the 4th. Happy May the 4th, everyone. And we're going to be doing something which I have never done before, but I probably should have done a very long time ago. I'm going to be ranking all 15 live-action movies and TV shows from the Star Wars universe. I first got into Star Wars back in 2015 when I found out it would be coming to Disney Infinity. So I'm a newer Star Wars fan than probably most of you guys watching out there. My list is going to be very controversial. I show my friends my list and they think it's the worst list they've ever seen. So when you see my list, just know all opinions are subjective. My ranking is going to be completely different from yours. So if you're going to be mean, just do some constructive criticism in the comments instead of hating on it. Let's get into the ranking. So in my number 15 spot, we have the show Andor. Now, Andor was a TV show which I was never excited about. I wasn't the biggest fan of Rogue One, so I found out that they were going to be making a spin-off show based off of Cassian Andor. I was very hesitant. I thought Disney was really stupid, and I was right. I found this show to be super boring. The 12 episodes that I watched, I was pretty much just watching it because I knew that I wanted to watch it just so I could be involved with the Star Wars community on Twitter and everything, talking about the show. But I gotta be honest, it was a drag to watch these shows. I was skipping weeks left and right. I didn't even catch up until probably the last week of Andor. So it was overall a super boring show. I'm not really into politics. It did feel like an HBO quality show, but in the Star Wars universe. But when I'm watching a Star Wars movie, I'm not really looking for that. I'm looking for some Jedi, some Sith, some bounty hunters. I'm not looking for all this stuff. So even though it was definitely a cool story to tell how the Resistance came to be, it was not a story for me. In our number 14 spot, we're going to have Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Easily the most boring of all the prequel movies. Episode 1 is a drag to watch. I feel like it's super cringy, the CGI is terrible, and it may actually have the worst character in all of Star Wars, Jar Jar Binks. Me's tired of hearing your friggin' voice. This is pod racing? Are you an angel? I don't care about any of this. This is the most cringy dialogue I've ever heard. Whoever wrote the script is a complete idiot. I think I could even make a better script. Actually, I'm going to shut the fuck up because I do not know how to make a script. In our number 13 spot, we have Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Now, Attack of the Clones used to be my least favorite Star Wars movie. Then I rewatched it. I think it has more watchable scenes than The Phantom Menace, but not by much. But oh, Anakin's all grown up now, which means he's ready to get into the dating pool, but he's going to be a Jedi, so he can't date, so it has to be hush hush. Padme, remember when I was a little kid and you were like 5 years older than me, and it's kind of creepy? How about we just start dating now? Oh look, I'm Padme. Anakin, I remember when you were a little boy and I had a crush on you. I don't like sand. Oh, Annie. We did get a really cool scene on Geonosis, which was probably the best action sequence in the film. But besides that, I thought this movie was a bore to sit through. It had some watchable parts, but at the same time, it had a lot of unwatchable parts. And that's why it's coming into number 13. In our number 12 spot, we have Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Now, when I found out Rogue One was going to be coming out, I didn't really understand the plot of the movie. I knew it was going to be taking place before the original trilogy, but I didn't really know much about it. And I kind of went into this movie without seeing any of the trailers. And I thought the movie was a little bit too complicated for me. I thought the story of Rogue One just didn't really have much interest in me. I did rewatch it though to prepare to watch Andor. And I will say Rogue One definitely does hold up and is a pretty good movie. It's just not really the movie that I was into. In our number 11 spot, we have the Book of Boba Fett. The Book of Boba Fett. You just got to see Boba Fett in Mandalorian Season 2. He's going to have his own spin-off show with Fennec. It's going to be so great, so awesome. I'm so hyped to see this, and bam. Right like a bantha. We saw the most badass version of Boba Fett we've ever seen, and then jump to a year later, when the show comes out, we get this shit. The best part about the Book of Boba Fett wasn't even about Boba Fett. It was the episodes where the Mandalorian was the main star of the show. Now, when we get towards the end of the Book of Boba Fett is when it starts getting way better, and we start seeing the Mandalorian, we see Cad Bane, Ahsoka, Luke, we start seeing all these big cameos, big, oh my god, look who it is, and that's when the show starts picking up. The beginning of the show just wasn't that good, which means even though I really like the ending of the series, the beginning was just so bad that I had to put this at the number 11 spot. In our number 10 spot, we have the only Star Wars movie to lose money, Solo. Now, Solo is a very odd movie because they're going to be going back to tell a story about Han Solo, which we don't really need to know. We already know Han Solo. We already saw him die like a few years prior to this movie coming out. We didn't know too much about Han Solo before episode 4, but I don't really think that was something that anyone was looking to know about. But no, they thought it'd be a good idea to make a Solo movie, which I thought came out pretty well. I'm not gonna lie. I like this movie way more than a lot of other people. And you know what? Paul Bettany, you did a pretty good job of the villain, not even gonna lie. And if this movie didn't lose money, I think we would have saw that Lando series or maybe a sequel to Solo. In our number 9 spot, we have Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, which just celebrated its 40th anniversary last week, so happy 40th birthday, Return of the Jedi. When I was going in to watch Episode 6 for the first time, I was expecting this giant, big climax, but instead I got the Ewok village. Ewoks, you guys are cute, but at the same time, you're also deadly murderers, which, why does anyone talk about that? But, even though I was just hating on it, we also can't forget about that amazing final battle at the end of Episode 6. Luke, Vader, Palpatine, unlimited power. Even though it's a movie that I would rewatch from time to time, it's not one where I'm going to pick out of any of the others in the original trilogy. In our number 8 spot, we have Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Oh, The Last Jedi. When I first saw The Last Jedi and I came out of the theater, it was my favorite Star Wars movie I ever saw. And then, I let the hype die down a little bit after I saw the movie, and I rewatched it a second time. But when I rewatched it a second time, I changed my mind real quick. Now, one of my friends thinks Episode 8 is one of the best Star Wars movies, and I'm not going to take that away from anyone who thinks that. Again, all of our opinions are subjective, so a movie that I like or don't like could be different from your opinion. But I really don't think Episode 8 was the type of movie I was looking for. After the sequel to The Force Awakens, I was expecting it to build on that story, but I really do think that the plot point set up in The Force Awakens was kind of thrown away in The Last Jedi. I mean, right off the bat, you're going to have Luke at the end of The Force Awakens. You see him take off his hood, you see him get the lightsaber, and now he's just going to throw it away in the ocean. But even though Episode 8 in parts is unwatchable, like the Camino scene and the horses, I do think it also has some of the best scenes in the entire trilogy. I mean, the scene alone, which is Rey and Kylo fighting with each other, is probably one of the best sequences that I've seen in any Star Wars movie. You have that amazing sequence where everything just goes silence. And with that being said, we have some good, some bad sequences, and that's why it's kind of at the middle of the list. Now, in our number 7 spot, we have the Disney Plus series Obi-Wan Kenobi. Taking place between episodes 3 and 4, we get to learn what Obi-Wan was doing after he went into hiding after Order 66. So episodes 1 and 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi were honestly probably some of my favorite things in all of Disney Star Wars, but after episodes 1 and 2, I did think that the show went downhill. The show started off so strong that they didn't fulfill the promise they set up in episodes 1 and 2, and it just started going downhill from there. Now, there were, of course, a lot of great sequences, but then again, a lot of filler stuff in there as well. Now, after the full series came out online, a few fans took the entire series and edited it down to a movie. And this movie was way better edited than I think the Disney Plus show was. And I really do think that Disney should have actually made the Obi-Wan show into a movie, which they originally planned on, but then they needed more stuff for Disney Plus, so they made it into a TV show. Seeing Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen back in their roles was just pure magic on the screen, and I definitely do think that this could have been way more better than it actually was if they made the show into a movie, or maybe cut it down to like 4 episodes. In our number 6 spot, we have the original Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. A New Hope is a great movie. I love Episode 4. We get to learn about all of these characters, which we're going to see over the next few decades. Great movie, great CGI for the time. I really don't have anything bad to say about this movie. You're probably wondering why this movie is at 6 when I don't really have too many negative things to say about it, but that's because everything in the top 5 is just so good. Okay, with that being said, in our number 5 spot, we have the show The Mandalorian. Disney Plus is starting up their brand new streaming service. They need a hit show to get people subscribed to Disney Plus. What are we going to make? A show about a Mandalorian? But not the Mandalorian that you guys all know and love, Boba Fett. A character which we've never even seen or heard of before named Din Djarin. But Disney knows what to do. We're going to add a cash grab. We're going to add something so iconic that's going to make us a ton of money, get everyone watching, and just make that Disney Plus subscriber growth So my ranking from the seasons from worst to best is season 3, season 1, and then season 2. I thought season 2 was the best The Mandalorian ever got. The finale alone with Luke showing up, we get to see Boba Fett, Ahsoka, so many of these amazing characters, and we get to see so much of this little green guy named Grogu, as you can see right over me. You can find a Grogu in almost any Star Wars fan's home. Probably even someone that's not even a Star Wars fan might even have some Grogu merch. Disney knew exactly what they were doing when they were making The Mandalorian, and that is why it's been a huge phenomenon. Everyone loves Mando, everyone loves Grogu, and I cannot wait to see where this goes into season 4 and even into that brand new movie that they're going to be making based off of the Disney Plus Star Wars shows. In our number 4 spot, we have Episode 7, The Force Awakens. The very first movie Disney ever made with Star Wars. The Force Awakens is the highest domestic box office movie that has ever been made. It made more money than any other movie in the United States. People love Star Wars, so when people found out Disney was going to be making a brand new Star Wars trilogy, they headed out to the theater to see this movie, and you know what? It's a great movie. Yeah, sure, it might be very similar to A New Hope, but you know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. This movie does almost everything right when you're starting up a brand new trilogy. It had some high stakes, it had some amazing characters, and even some big deaths, with the death of Han Solo. Now, how many of you guys were spoiled by the death of Han Solo? I saw it on the opening night, and luckily I was never spoiled, but when I came out of my movie theater after seeing Episode 7, there was some guy in the parking lot driving around in his car saying, "Han Solo dies!" If I was walking in that movie theater and I saw that guy come in front of me and just spoil the movie, I'm giving him the 1-2 Mayweather. And now in our number 3 spot, we have Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Episode 5 takes everything that Episode 4 built up and expands on it with higher stakes and even crazier things that happen. Han Solo gets frozen in carbonite. Luke finds out that Vader is actually his father. So many of these key moments in Star Wars happens in Empire Strikes Back. You get to see your very first introduction to Yoda. Actually, fun fact, Episode 5 was technically the first Star Wars thing I ever watched. I remember when I was a young kid in elementary school, I was like going through my TV in my room and I stumbled across Episode 5 being played, and it was during the scene where Luke and Yoda are talking, and during this scene, the only thing that I could hear was Grover from Sesame Street, because fun fact, Frank Oz voiced both Yoda and Grover. So when I heard Yoda, I was like, that's Grover's voice. But yeah, we get to meet all these great characters, expanded on stories, and it leaves on one of the biggest cliffhangers in all of cinema. The bad guy wins! In our number 2 spot, we have Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Easily the best prequel movie by far. Episode 1 and 2 was so trash that Episode 3 just needed like 2 good sequences and it would be the best movie, but you know what? Episode 3 had so many great sequences. It's a non-stop movie. It really doesn't slow down at points. We finally get to see this guy who we've been watching over the last 2 movies. He takes a turn for the worse. He takes a turn to the right side to be on the dark side. Bum, bum, bum. And while watching this movie, you're sitting there in your seat like, no, Anakin, don't go to the dark side, please. Stay on the good side. But it still happens anyway. We see our boy Anakin take in the darkness. He goes with Palpatine. He's not helping out Mace Windu. He's chopping off people's heads. And he's killing the younglings. And Episode 3 concludes with probably one of my favorite fight sequences in all of Star Wars, the battle on Mustafar. It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground! I hate you! And then we have another sequence which I can quote in my head every single day and never get tired of it. Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we ever going to do? Pretend that my lightsaber just lit up because I ran out of AAA batteries and I couldn't do the effect. So, yeah. This movie is also super heartbreaking. You see Padme find out that Anakin turns to the dark side, and she's a miserable mess. Annie, you're breaking my heart! So usually Episode 3 is my favorite Star Wars movie, but I go back and forth with the first and second place, so this might be at some times my favorite Star Wars movie, at other times it'll be at number 2. These two go back and forth, and I think it's time for me to finally say what episode is my favorite Star Wars episode, if you haven't guessed already. It's Episode 9. The Rise of Skywalker. Yep. Calm down. Calm down. I know. Listen, I love the sequels. I'm not gonna lie. I used to not want to tell people that the sequels were my favorite because I knew that people wouldn't agree with me. But you know what? I don't care what people think. I love Episode 9. Palpatine is my favorite Star Wars character. And you know what? Somehow Palpatine returned and I was okay with it. Sure, you had to watch a Fortnite event to understand that Palpatine returned. But you know what? I don't care how he returned. I don't really care. I just like seeing my boy back in action. And he's cloning himself? I'm cool with that. Make more clones of Palpatine. I don't want this guy ever to die. I love him. You learn about Rey. Now, Rey was some nobody in Episode 8. But now, guess what? She's actually a Palpatine. Rey Palpatine. That's what they should have called her. Sorry, listen, Rey Skywalker, sure, sounds nice, but Rey Palpatine was what I really want to hear. The best character arc in all the sequels is easily Ben Solo, and this really does justice to the Ben Solo character. There's one point in the movie where it looks like Rey is going to go evil. And even though I love Episode 9 so much, I kind of wish that Rey went evil as Ben was going good. It would kind of be a big twist on it because Rey was seen as the hero and Ben was seen as the bad guy. And I think if it ended in Episode 9, a little switch up, sure, it may have hurt every little kid's heart who looked up to Rey, but you know what? It would have been a really cool story point if Rey switched. But that didn't happen. You know what? That's okay because we got to see more of that team-up action between Rey and Ben. Exegol. You know what? Every single Star Destroyer now has a Death Star Rey that can get rid of any planet in an instant. Sure. And we have the very best sequence in probably any Star Wars movie. Did you guys like my reenactment of that scene? I made that back in 2023 years ago. Still one of my favorite TikToks I've ever made. Palpatine dies. I think he could still return one day. You never know. I don't think he'll ever return, but I'm open with him returning again somehow. And we get the moment which I have been waiting for. We get Reylo. Yep. I'm a Reylo stan. When I was seeing Episode 9 in theaters and I saw Ben and Rey have that moment together, you know what I did? I didn't go boo-hoo. What the hell is this shit? This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted Star Wars to be. I'm a Reylo stan. I don't care what anyone says. And then they're going to kill off Ben. Why? You had the best character in Star Wars and he's going to give up his life because Rey's dying? Listen, Rey's a great character. Ben should have lived. But it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. The hole in my heart will one day be fulfilled. I love Episode 9. My favorite Star Wars movie. Then again, it might be Episode 3 next week. It's going to go back and forth. And if there are any other Episode 9 fans out there, please comment down below because I need to find you guys. There's not too many of us. We got to stick together. Sure, Episode 9 has some problems, but you know what? I'm ranking it based on my enjoyment of the film, and it is my favorite film to rewatch. And even though it may not be the best episode story-wise, I have the most enjoyment out of it, and that's why it's at my #1 spot. Now, feel free to comment down below and just hate on me for all of my terrible takes on Star Wars. I will gladly read every single comment and will not cry myself to sleep this time. I can't tell you if I did it last time when you guys told me that my Star Wars ranking was terrible. I'm a Star Wars fan like you guys. I love my Star Wars. Let's just take everyone's opinion and just celebrate the fact that we love this franchise. Let's come together instead of break it apart. The Star Wars community is very toxic. Let's keep it more of a positive one. Let me know what your ranking is down below in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts on my ranking. And if you guys like Star Wars and would like to see more Star Wars content, please go hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Happy May the 4th, and I really do hope that you guys enjoyed this video, even though my takes may be completely out of left field. Have a good one, and may the Force be with you.